Hey everybody, Whitney Wonka here, and today I'm starting on the Willy Wonka master bedroom. Now throughout this new series, I'll be talking about the 1971 and the 2005 movie versions. And I don't think it's fair to leave out the book, so I will be discussing the similarities and the differences as we go along. Now the room itself will be highly designed based on the 1971 Gene Wilder version, because that's the version I grew up with as a child and that's the version I fell in love with. But here's an interesting thing. And some of you may already know this, but the Johnny Depp version, which is the less liked version, is way closer to the original story in the book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, written by Roald Dahl. But then after reading the book, the Johnny Depp Tim Burton movie actually kind of grew on me a little bit because it was just so much closer to the book itself. Both of the movies tell a great story. I'm just saying that if you are a huge fan of the original, it is really hard to look at the 2005 Johnny Depp version and not have a huge amount of judgment toward it. With all of that said, today I'm going to be working on the WonkaTania. Or should I actually call it the Wonkabedia? Yes, that's it, the Wonkabedia. And either way, it's going to be scrumdiddlyumptious. For the centerpiece of most bedrooms, it's often the bed itself, draped in beautiful fabrics and fluffy pillows, enticing you into its comfortable environment. Although these days I find that I don't need that much enticing. I can pretty much fall asleep anywhere, you know what I mean? But I wanted this room to encompass a lot of the movie and just not one scene, like I did for the Back to the Future room. And so I thought that it would be fun to turn this bed into
le WonkaTania.
Now to do this, I am starting off with this very standard 4-post bed with removable mattress. I didn't really want to build a bed, I just figured it'd be easier, less time consuming to alter one. I really want this to have that nice high gloss look of the WonkaTania. I will spray paint it, but first I'll have to sand it. So the boat you can see is white and blue. I'm going to spray paint it all white as a base coat and primer. I'm going to tape it off and then I'm going to add this really pretty high gloss blue spray paint to it. Now so far so good. I did get a little overspray on the blue, but I'll just go ahead and use a brush to paint over that and kind of clean it up a little bit. Now as the WonkaTania goes by, you can see that the benches are white and then the fabric is really bright red. And so those of course are the colors that I want to incorporate onto the bed linens. On another note, also notice that every seat is full. Now if you're familiar with the movie, then you know that Augustus was just sucked up a pipe. Interesting that if he hadn't, there would be no room for him and his mother on the boat. Things that make you go, So here's the mattress that came with the bed. And I went to the fabric store and I got a couple of their pre-made cut quarters. I was gonna do just a plain white linen, but then I found this one that had some sparkle to it, and it just made more sense for a WonkaTania to have a little bit more oomph than just a plain white fabric. So I'm gonna use that as the base coat, fold that down, and make it look like a folded top sheet or blanket. The bed also came with a couple little pillows, so I'm gonna make some pillowcases using my heat bond and an iron, and I'm gonna make those in this really bright red. Now the bright red, I just went with a plain fabric, a plain cotton fabric. I think it's gonna work beautifully, although I feel like maybe the movie being made in the 70s, those seats were probably velveteen, crushed velvet or something like that. And then I've got some gold trim here that I'm gonna put on the pillowcases just to add a nice little fun gold detail. I'm also going to do a canopy. I'm going to be using this other gold trim that I have and this really bright, nice blue fabric. Now I have starched and ironed my fabric to make it a little bit easier for me to work with. And then I'm just going to create the illusion that the bed has a bottom and top comforter. The way I do that is by gluing down the bottom sheet and then wrapping around the base and edges similar to the way I would wrap a Christmas gift. Then I take another piece of fabric and I fold it and iron it so that it would look like a comforter had been rolled down a bit. I glue that about a third way up from the bottom of the mattress and I leave an area where you would put your head pillows and decorative pillows and that sort of thing. To glue this, I'm using a combination of white fabric glue and then a smidge of hot glue. That just holds the fabric in place while the other glue dries. The pillows I made by using heat bond, and I have an entire tutorial on how to make pillows and blankets using that product, and it's great for those of us who are far from being sewing masters. Some of you, I'm sure, relate to that. Now, while I finish that, did you know that during the filming of the tunnel scene, the reaction from the other cast members toward Gene Wilder's citing that poem was authentic?
There's no knowing where we're going.
or which way the river's flowing.
They did not know how he was going to play that part, and they actually thought he was losing his mind. I feel like I would be losing my mind in that tunnel too. For the SS WonkaTania's canopy, I'm going to start off with cutting down a piece of my trash foam. Now I'm using foam for the canopy because I need this to be very lightweight because I'm ultimately going to be gluing it to the wall of the bedroom. So I only wanted to hang over the bed about 4 inches. I'm using my foam cutter and a couple pieces of cardboard to help guide my cut so that it's nice and straight. And then here's my piece of foam. I'm covering this in the same white and glittery fabric that I did for the bed comforter, and I'm also going to wrap it in the same way as well, like a little gift package. Again, using fabric glue and a combination of hot glue to keep it secure while it dries. Once that's complete, I'm taking my bright blue fabric and I'm cutting down pieces and then folding it and ironing it because I need to make this look like a striped canopy that goes all the way around. I couldn't find any just blue and white striped fabric in the scale that I needed. I'm just gonna make do with what I have. We're gonna make it work. I cut those down and I glued them into place also. I cut down another piece of fabric for the top and then another white glittery piece of fabric for the bottom. And then I have this really nice gold trim left over. I use this in the what we do in the shadows room for the curtains. So now I'm going to just glue that around the edging of my canopy. And then on the very top, I also want to add a little bit of that gold trim, the same gold trim that I used on the pillowcases and a little bit across the bed comforter area. And I'm going to trim that out also to give it a nice finished look. And there we go. We've got our canopy. Now, of course, I can't really add this quite yet to the bed because I'm going to need a wall behind it. And then at the end of the video, when we put everything together, I'll show you my temporary solution of hanging that canopy above the bed just so we can see what it looks like since I'm not going to be installing it into the actual room today. Okay, so let's take a quick look as to where we are so far. So we've got our bed, of course, with the blue and white. Our mattress is now complete. Our mattress / bedspread is now complete. I also have all of our pillows. We've got this one little decorative pillow that also came with the bed. It's a little plain, so we're gonna work on that. Here's kind of the idea with the canopy, right? So I think the next thing that we really need to do is add some detail. One of those details is painting more gold on the bed. There's a ton of gold on the SS WonkaTania. There's a lot of gold trim, so I definitely want to add more. So I've got my Testors gold paint, and I'm going to go ahead and paint all the 4 posts as well as the back trim on the headboard. I think that's going to really make that pop, and I think it's going to look really great. So let me go ahead and get that painted. And it does take a little while for that Testors to dry because it's an oil base versus a acrylic water-based paint, but it's worth the wait, and it actually looks really great. I like the bed pretty much just as it is. But you know what? While we're at it, let's add more gold. Now on the boat itself, it has a ton of blue pinstriping around it, but it's on the white part. So in this case, I'm going to invert that. I'm going to put gold pinstriping on the blue part. And I did buy this graphic tape in gold. I'm a big fan of that graphic tape. You can use it for so many different projects, especially mini projects. And I'm going to add just a very simple gold pinstripe along all 3 sides of the bed. Now let's discuss that little white pillow that came with the bed. Now I'd like to incorporate the book and ultimately the Tim Burton film. In both the book and the movie, there is a boat, but it's not the WonkaTania that takes them down the Chocolate River. It's described as a Viking boat of old, and the book describes it as a shining, sparkling, glistening pink color that the whole thing looked like it was made of bright pink glass. It actually says in the book too that Willy Wonka had her made by hollowing out an enormous boiled sweet. So it was fully edible, which is actually really cool. I love it that the Tim Burton movie depicts it in exactly how we read it in the book. So I'm going to draw that boat on this little pillow using my acrylic paint markers. First, I'm going to pencil it on, and then I'm going to use my paint pens to add in the colors. And boom, we have a little nod here to both the book and the 2005 movie. There is another little thing that's worth pointing out in the 2005 movie. Willy Wonka gives both Charlie and Grandpa a taste of the chocolate river due to the fact that he felt like they looked like they were absolutely starving. This is on par perfectly to the book, which I personally appreciated, and I really enjoyed it because it showed a little bit of Mr. Wonka's compassion, but it also touches just on how malnourished and sickly the buckets actually were when it's not really driven home in the original movie. There are a few more elements of the boat that I want to add, and those elements are, I would like to have a captain's wheel that you see the Oompa Loompa steering with. I want some Willy Wonka flags. I think that that's important to have a W. And then I want to have the paddle wheel that you see to the back that the Oompa Loompas are turning. So what I did was I bought some very thin chipboard, and basically I cut down just pieces of the paddle wheel, and I want to add those to the side. So one on each side. I'm going to paint those red, and then I'm going to put a tester's red coat on top of them to give them more of a metallic look. I'm going to add some flags here, and I'm putting a little toothpick in between them. So it'll be a two-sided flag that sits on this top of the post, and I'm going to put one flag on each post. And then what I'll do is I'll also cut out some and make a little captain's wheel, and I'll put that to the base of the bed. Now what I did was I just temporarily glued the awning to a piece of foam board, and then I'll be able to easily remove that once the bed gets installed into the main room. You can see my paddle wheel is to the side on each side, and I did paint them on both sides, obviously, because you're going to need, you see the inside of the wheel. And I did add a miniature lollipop ornament. I just took the lollipop off and added that to the center of the wheel. And ultimately, this is the finished project. Well, the finished bed anyway, for now. We're not going to explore the room today. I will do that at the beginning of the next episode. My idea is that, of course, this WonkaTania is going to need to sit on something that resembles a chocolate river for certain, and obviously it would be even cooler if it was coming out of a tunnel of some sort. So I'm definitely going to be working on that. There is so much more to do in this room. So anyway, let me know what you think so far of the WonkaTania bed, or the Wonkabedia, as I stated in the beginning of the video. I'm loving it so far. This room is definitely getting my creative juices going, but let me know what you think. If you love it, give me a thumbs up. That means so much to me. It does wonders for the channel, along with your amazing comments. I love to hear from you every week, and I'm so grateful for you. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so you do not miss any more content. Thank you so much for being here and traveling with me on this Willy Wonka journey as we explore the movies and the book together. Have a great rest of your weekend, you guys, and remember, in this crazy life, it's the little things that matter. Bye!